Oscar committee members so appalled by woke nominees they're abstaining from voting. Oh no. Oscar committee members feel this is the end of the award show as smaller movies are nominated over hit box office films for Best Picture because of DEI requirements, according to an expert. Oh, before I rip into them, let's hear more from their side. The 97th Academy Award ceremony will be held on Sunday at Hollywood's Dolby Theater, but many viewers and even voters who determine the nominations are not too excited. Emilia Perez, The Brutalist, and Honora all up for Best Picture alongside Wicked, The Complete Unknown, and Dune Part 2. But according to podcaster and author Raymond Arroyo, many in Hollywood are not too happy about the choices, including the 9,945 eligible voting members. Arroyo also notes that boxes that have to be checked in order for films to be nominated for an Oscar. One of these Oscar winners pointed out to me, he said, my film probably wouldn't qualify for an Oscar now because there's so many boxes you have to check. Yeah, you're right. Pretty much most of the best films ever made wouldn't qualify. But that's why these awards shows are a joke. He said that the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences representation inclusion standards, first introduced at last year's ceremony, have had an impact as well. Now, that's the key thing to remember. Last year, they had the same rules. Did you notice anyone inside of Hollywood protesting against it then? Yeah, I didn't think so. I didn't either. Yet this year, all of a sudden, they're worried that this is going to end the awards show. What changed between this year's Oscars and last year's Oscars that might have made the rats decide to jump off of this sinking ship and onto the next one? I wonder. The Academy now requires that for films to be considered for Best Picture, they have to meet 2 out of the 4 possible categories, which focus on underrepresented groups, including racial and ethnic groups, women's, people with disabilities, and the alphabet soup community. Carla Sofia Gascon, one of the stars of Mia Perez, became the first Transformer to be nominated for an Academy Award. Some voters are so fed up with this year's choices, they've opted not to vote, or told the outlet. So many Oscars voters have told me that the Oscars jumped the shark. They feel this is the end of the Oscars in some ways, he explained. Yeah, it's funny. Now, suddenly, they're all repeating our talking points. Now that it's safe, now that they're trying to kiss the ring and suck up to Orange Man. We know your game, though. Unlike you low IQ motherfuckers, we understand you're not on our side. We know you're only pretending. We know the second the pendulum starts swinging back, you'll be running over there following it. Yeah, this is precisely why we're just going to use you as cannon fodder. It's all you're good for. In terms of requirements films have to have, Arroyo said, you have to have so many non-traditional casting here and so many non-white people working on this part of the film. So there's an interesting thing that we're seeing that I think is disqualifying a lot of films we'll never hear of at the Oscars. They just couldn't check those boxes. So here's my point, though. They don't need to. I bet most of those films chose to be profitable over getting an Oscar. They're probably rolling in money. They don't care. They didn't have the creative staff or the casting that could accommodate them. So those who did vote this year have been branded out of touch by those in Hollywood, he said. We're not taking into account popular taste when making these choices, he said, of the nominees. Wow. Busting out the alt-right Nazi talking points all night, are you? Yeah, yet when people like me have been saying this for years, we got fucking savaged for it. But I guess now it's safe, huh? You have a group of people acting in isolation from their audience, which is a huge problem. When you claim to speak as a cultural mouthpiece in the center of the country, it's a huge problem. I think many people in Hollywood are acknowledging it and realize maybe they're out of touch. Maybe the Oscars weren't what they used to be. Now that they drove all of their customers away, now suddenly they're realizing, yeah, maybe it's us. Maybe we're out of touch. Hey, you're going to come back and give us another chance, right? No? Oh, okay. So Arroyo insisted if the voters were in touch with the average moviegoer, they would have nominated Deadpool and Wolverine. Look, there's no point in any of this, okay? Let me explain. If they were in touch with moviegoers, they would the Oscars would go to the most financially successful movies. You could say those movies already got their award when they were the most financially successful. They don't need any fucking paperweight trinket to prove that they're better than all this other garbage you got clogging up the Oscars. The movie is not nominated at all this year, despite being the second highest grossing film of current year -1, making more than $1.3 billion. The Brutalist and Wicked are up for 10 Oscar nominations, Emilia Perez with 13 and Nora with 6. Ario said the voters are now reflecting an industry that's been so shattered. By who? Who shattered it? Who shattered this industry? No, we know. It's sort of what happened to us in television. You went from 3 channels to a cable universe. Now it's the Wild West of the internet and every streaming show you're competing with. You guys haven't been competing for a while, but that's fine. The world is changing, and it's changed a lot for people in the film industry. No, it's not changing. It stayed roughly the same, at least when it comes to people's tastes in content, compared to where it was like 20 years ago. That hasn't changed. Yeah, technology has changed. Streaming entered the picture in a big way. That's all true. But you guys were also intent on not giving the customers what they wanted, and now this is the result. These streamers are taking over, but the collective audience doesn't necessarily gather around it, so we're in for a new day. He continued, and the film is no longer the defining touchstone of the culture it once was. Yeah, video games replaced it a while ago. And that's what I got from these voters, acknowledgement that the ground has shifted. Maybe it's time for the Oscars to shift with it. Yeah, you could be part of the problem or part of the solution, Oscars. Which one do you want? In terms of the movies that were nominated, Arroyo said he doesn't think many people even saw them. That's exactly right. No, I think what the hope was when they nominate movies like this, like especially if these movies actually win an Oscar, this is pretty much part of that movie's advertising. Because then a lot of these movies could go from unknown to suddenly getting a massive boost in income when they start advertising themselves as Oscar winners. But that only works on boomers who care about Oscars. Like, if I saw an ad for a movie that looked like shit and then it said, oh, winner of 3 Academy Awards. Yeah, that doesn't really do anything to kind of quell my fears there. If anything, it reinforces them. I think most people haven't seen any of these movies to be excited about them. Arroyo said, referring to Emilia Perez, The Brutalist, and Nora. Wicked's really the only movie that's been a box office success that's nominated for Best Picture. These other films, they're small art house movies at best. He also mentioned that the ratings the show gets on Sunday could be the shakeup. It could also shake up the future of the ceremony. Now, if you guys use my idea from earlier, you're going to get really good ratings. Like, seriously, just have the feds bust in live on TV and start arresting Epstein clients. That's what you need to do. You'll get the best ratings in show history. Yeah, Hollywood is never woke. They just pretended to get the modern audience money. Trust me, bro. Yeah, just like how they're not pro-freedom now. They're just pretending to get our money. Exactly. But my money's not for them. So much better stuff to spend money on, like Hogan's. Oh, they'll bump up and down depending on if there's a big movie that year. But this year, you get a feeling, aside from Wicked, there's really nothing that captured the zeitgeist or that people really inspired or moved by or went in droves to. So I'm not sure it has the same power. It has the same power any longer, given the rules, the times, and given the isolation the Academy works in. Yeah, this is basically part of an ivory tower there. In current year -1, the awards show drew 19.5 million viewers, up 4% more than current year -2, according to Variety. Those numbers reflect an 18 to 49-year-old demographic. Overall, Arroyo said he hopes the Oscars will broaden and become a little more democratic in order for the audience to have a voice. Drama already shaking up the ceremony as Gascon continued her disappearing act when she skipped out on the star-studded Oscar nominees dinner Tuesday evening. The 52-year-old disgraced actress has been absent from awards season events in recent weeks after racist and Islamophobic tweets, some quite recent, were discovered on her public account on Twitter. I always find it funny, like especially when we're dealing with people that have massive followings, how it's an own when something they posted on their public social media gets brought to light. Maybe it's different for people like me because YouTube and Twitter is how most people interact with me. Maybe it would be different if I was a Hollywood star. I don't know. There's no way for me to know for sure. But this is funny. Her absence meant that she was missing from the official photo of the current year Oscar nominee class, which featured A-list stars, including no one cares. Despite skipping the event, the source previously told people that Gascon intends to attend the Oscars, maybe by drone. Gascon stars Emilia Perez as the title character, a transformer who once lived as a male drug lord in Mexico before faking her death and reinventing herself. I will admit that at least is a funny premise. Like this could actually be a legit good movie if you took all the current year propaganda out of it. Like as a storyline, that actually does sound kind of funny. Like a Mexican drug lord like decides the jig is up, he can't keep getting away, so he fakes his death and becomes a she. That could be a good story if it was handled by someone competent. The film's chances are thrown into jeopardy when Gascon's old twats were discovered, including posts criticizing George Kirby that observers described as racist, along with anti-Muslim posts or twats attacking the entire concept of diversity. Gascon deleted her Twitter once the public post received notice, but didn't help her case much with subsequent interviews featuring half-hearted apologies and denials that her posts were racist. Oh, let me guess, were you also hacked? Don't forget that I was hacked. So after Audert appeared to criticize her in an interview for the film's PR campaign, she wrote in an Instagram post on February 6th that she hoped her silence will allow the film to be appreciated for what it is. I sincerely apologize to everyone who's been hurt along the way, she added. Yeah, apologizing is what's going to cost you what little respect you may have had. If you just owned it and said, yeah, I posted that, the fuck any of you are going to do about it? All right, nothing. You fucking losers, man. You're not going to do shit.